So, good morning, everyone. Let's continue our discussion today. So, today we'll start with installing Apache Spark in Windows machine. Okay, we all know that Apache Spark is basically a JVM based tool, and that is basically built on Scala, which means you should have your Java installed successfully. You should have your Scala also installed successfully. Okay, Spark needs what? Java and Scala, right? So make sure that you have Java installed. I would stick to Java 17. Make sure that you have Scala installed. Okay, Scala not 3.x, not 3.x, Scala 2.x. Okay, and then you will install your Spark, right? So if you want to work on Spark with Windows, you'll have to configure one more thing. We call it WinUtils. Okay, why? Because Spark internally needs Hadoop. Okay, Spark internally needs Hadoop. Now you can still run Spark without Hadoop, but for that you have to configure a small utility. We call it WinUtils. Okay, this will act like a Hadoop. Okay, it acts like a Hadoop. It does not give you SDFS, it does not give you yarn, it does not give you anything, but it will just give you a feeling to Spark that yes, Hadoop environment is available. So you'll have to configure at least these three before you move to Spark. Okay, and that is what we are going to see today from scratch. So let's move on. So I'll share my screen and we'll follow with the documentation. So I'm using Mac here, but how am I going to show you this installation in Windows, right? So I should bring a Windows machine. So in order to make sure that I don't have to switch my laptop, okay, what I'll do is I'll use virtual machine. I'll use a virtual machine and I have installed Windows here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'll show you all this stuff. This Windows 11 I have installed yesterday. I've configured this yesterday, but we will see the whole step again. Okay, so make sure that you have your Windows machine. For me, this is my Windows machine. This window is my Windows machine because I have Windows 11 installed here. So the process would be 200% same. Okay, now whatever I'm doing here, you can do the same on your Windows machine as well. Okay, now let's move on. Number one, download and install Java 17. Okay, so you need to install Java 17 in order to work with your Spark latest version. And please do not install Java latest version. Please do not stick to Java 8. Okay, it can also work with Java 8, but I would recommend you that you stick to what is used while compiling the code. Okay, so the perfect software for this version of Spark would be installing your Java 17. How do you do that? Just go to, even if you don't get this link, you should be able to figure out how do you install Java 17. Okay, so what you do, go here in your virtual machine. Okay, open a browser and here you write Java 17 download. Now go here, Java SE 17 archive download. It takes you to the first page, archive download. Go little down and you see here Java JDK 17.012. If you see, there are various versions available, and since you are going to install that in your Windows, you would either download this installer or you will install this MSI installer. Okay, both of this would be helpful. So I would prefer doing this. I'll download this JDK 17.0.12. Click on this, it's a exe file. Okay, and the download would start instantly. So you don't have to sign up anywhere. This will download the Java. Once the Java is downloaded successfully, all that you need to do is double click on the exe file, next, choose your directory and finish. Your Java is installed. Okay, we'll also see that. Let's wait for this to complete. Now if it is completed, it should take us to, it should be present in the downloads folder. I think, yeah, it is still going on. I think it is not yet completed, so wait for some time till it is done, and once it is done we can go back and start our installation. Okay, now let's go back here. So you download this Oracle from here and then follow the standard installation process. Next, finished. Okay, once done, you'll have to set up your environment variables. So this process you should never miss. Okay, now I think it's done. Let's go back here. So 154 MB it is saying. So let me go to the downloads. I can go to my computer. Okay, and go to our downloads. It should be available here. So if you see, I'm downloading this file here. Okay, jdk 17012 windows x64 bin, and I believe the download is complete. If you see the size, the download is complete. Okay, so what you'll do, double click. Let me double click what I have downloaded yesterday. Should not be a problem. Say yes. Just see here if it is actually waiting for you to take some action. Now it has already installed. Do you want to reinstall it? I'll just say yes because I had already installed it. In your case, you will not get that option because I just wanted to show you the installation process. So in the meanwhile, if you have Windows machine, you can also parallelly install with me. If by the time I'm done, you should also be done with your Spark installation. And say next, and say next. So it is successfully installed. You can just say close and your Java installation is done. You still have to configure that in your path. Okay. So let us also see how to do that as well. Now let's go back to our documentation. So we have installed our Java, right? Now the next thing that you should do is go to your environment variable, go to user variable and set your Java home. Okay. So if you're installing Java 17 the way I have done, it would be installed in C drive program files. Under Java there is a folder called jdk 17. Let's quickly check that out. So go to your computer first. Okay, now go to your computer, go to your C drive, this PC, go to C drive and then go to program files, go to Java and jdk 17. This is where your software would be installed. If you see, it is today's date 18/12/2024. Okay, so click on it and this is the place where all your Java stuffs are installed. Okay, now this is what we call a Java home. So Java home is a folder which contains bin folder. Okay, in any Java based project, if a folder contains bin, then that folder is called as home. Okay, every time. So for us, Java home would be this jdk-17. Why? Because this folder contains bin folder. Okay, so you'll have to copy this, copy from here, go to your environment variable here, just write env and it takes you to this environment. Here it is, edit the system environment variable. Okay, now go to environment variables. Now what you'll do first, this would not be there, this would also not be there. Okay, this would also not be there and this would also not be there. All these things would not be available. Okay, what you will do, you create a new variable and name it java underscore home. Okay, not hyphen, underscore home, and paste this path, the path where your bin folder is present, and say okay, done. Next, here you also have a path variable. Okay, so if you see, you have got user variable for Suraj, you have got system variable. I would suggest you to stick to user variable for all the configuration, because this will make sure that whatever you have set would be available to your user only and it will not impact the other users. Okay, so I've added this. Now once you have added, you go to your path, say edit, and in your path also you will not have all these three. So let me remove, because we'll configure all these things. Okay, so in your path variable you will not have anything, right? And what you do is you just say new and add your java home slash bin. See here, add java home slash bin to your path variable under user variable. So you'll copy this piece, or if you are little smart enough, you understand what you're doing, you can just say percentage java underscore home percentage and give a slash, see the slash, direction of the slash. Okay, and say bin. This is what you're supposed to do, and just say okay, and just say okay, and just say okay. You can close this now. So this process completes your Java installation. Confirm your Java installation now. So once you have done all these three steps, now go to your command prompt and just say java-version, right? So go back here and right click and say open in terminal. Okay, open in terminal. Click on it. Okay, now here you get a PowerShell. Whereas you also have your command prompt here. Here you type cmd. You have your terminal here. Okay, now you have installed Java right now. Can you just try doing this? Java hyphen version, and that should give you a version number like this, Java version 17.0.12. If it gives you something else, that means whatever Java you have installed is not configured. Okay, and if you see Java is not a recognized command, if you see something like that, that means you have a problem with configuration. Okay, so this is how you will set up your Java in your machine. Okay, now this is what you can do. Also you can check what is my Java home pointing to. So you will say echo percentage Java underscore home percentage. That means give me the value of Java underscore home that you have configured in environment variable. Okay, so let's go back here and say echo percentage Java underscore home percentage. Now this should give you the path where your Java is installed. Okay, now likewise, if you want to do the same thing here in your PowerShell, it will not work. It will give you the output like this. When you say echo, it will throw you whatever you have written. So if you're working on PowerShell, then your command should be this. You should say echo, give me from environment variable what? Java underscore home. Okay. So when you do this, it gives you the output. Okay. Here echo means show me. It's like show me the Java home. Where is the Java home? This is just to confirm that okay, my Java is installed and my Java home is configured at this particular location. Sometimes what happens when you are working on some existing systems where the Java is already configured, and if you are not aware, then probably you might not have configured that properly and it is still pointing to some old Java, let's say Java 8 or Java 6. That should not happen. Okay, so these are like not mandatory steps. This one, point number D, it is like confirming whether whatever Java you have installed is set or not. Okay, if it is set, you are good to go, right? So we have completed our part 1. Okay, now let us do the same thing with part 2. Steps are same. So by the time we end up completing this lesson, you will understand what is environment variable, how to visit that, because we will be visiting that so many times. Next, now we will download Scala 2.13. Okay, let me be little precise. What are you supposed to download? I'll just go a little down. Now see here, it says you are precisely supposed to download 2.12.18. You are supposed to download 2.12.18. Okay, so it's up to you. What we will do is we can stick to that version, or we can download this 2.13.15 also. Should not be a problem. I have tested it and it works. So let us go and download Scala 2.13. Okay, again let's go back to Internet Explorer again or Edge and say Scala downloads. First I'll go to google.com because that gives me precise result, and I'll say Scala. Let me pick up the version 2.13. 2.13. So let's see which version we have installed. 2.13.15. So if you want to be little clear on to which version you want to install, you can just go to that version also. Okay, so let's go back. 2.13.15. I'll be pinpointing to that particular download. So it will take me to Scala 2.13.15, right? And just go down and you will see here for Windows as well, right? If you see, we have a Windows, a zip file, we have a MSI, a installer. So I'll pick this installer. Okay, I'll click on it and it will start downloading. Right now this download will also go to your downloads folder. Okay, so let's go back a little down and we'll go to downloads here. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, now in some time this will also be installed. Now let us see if that is completed. Looks like it is completed because it is of same size, right? Let us start installing it. Again, the process would be same. Double click, say next. I'll say let's you change the way the features are installed. So I'll say repair. I'll say repair in this case because it's already installed for me, right? You will not get that option because you're doing it for the first time. Okay, so you will get next install option here. All right, there's a question. In real time, all these softwares are installed on Windows or Linux. In the real world, all these systems are configured in Linux. Okay, why are we learning it in Windows? Is because all of us do not have Linux box, right? So we will also see that in Linux. How do we do that in Linux? We'll also see that. But the reason I'm teaching you it in Windows is so that you can practice most of your stuff in Windows. And whenever there is some requirement, you can switch to Linux environment like Hadoop. So we have also successfully installed Scala. There was a finish button. I completed that. Okay. Now, once it is done, the same thing that you have to do to configure that in your environment variable. Okay. Now, let us try this. So we'll again go back to our document. So we have downloaded and installed Scala 2.13.15. Okay. Now, follow the standard installation process like next, finish whatever. And once done, then you set your Scala home. Where is your Scala home? That you have to check it out now. Okay, go back to your drive. So let me go to this PC. I'll go to C drive. Okay, now you look into program files or you look into program files x86. Okay, in either of these two. So let's first check here. Do we have anything called Scala? No. Okay, go back. Now check it out here. Do we have any Scala here? Yes. Okay, go inside this. Okay, now if you see, we have a bin folder here. Okay, that means the folder that actually is hosting your bin folder is called as your home, right? So can I say this as my Scala home? Yes, this is my Scala home. This is what I need to configure now. Okay, so go back to your environment variable again. From here, just say env. It gives you edit the system environment variable. Click on this, go to your environment variables. Now you say new and create a Scala home here. Scala home and paste the path. See program files x86 Scala and say okay. So this is your Scala home. Okay. Now the same thing you should also configure in your path. Okay. So go to your path, say edit. In the path you will say edit. Okay. Now here new entry, double click and it will give you a new entry for you. Now you have to write percentage Scala underscore home, what you have configured there. Okay, percentage. The meaning of this percentage means give me the value of it followed by slash bin. This is what you should do and say okay. Now let me tell you, instead of doing it that way, you could have also copied this whole path. This whole path you could have copied here. That would also work. Okay, so like in the environment variable here in the path edit, and you could have pasted that directly here. But the point is, since you have already configured Scala home, why to use it? Why to give the complete path again instead of just saying let me replace this with Scala home? Okay, so percentage Scala home means give me the value of Scala home and look into the bin folder of it. Okay, which means you should always follow this practice rather than this practice. I'll say delete. Done. Say okay and say okay and again say okay. Done. So this has completed two steps. We have downloaded Java, we have downloaded Scala. Okay, now confirm your Scala installation. Open a new prompt and type Scala version and see if that is coming up or not. So let's go back here. Close your existing terminal and open a new terminal every time. And just say Scala version. Now if you see, you have got Scala 2.13.15, which means it is successfully installed. Okay, so likewise you can also check where is the home pointing to, and this should point to your home whatever you have configured. Okay, so let's try this also. Right, so it is pointing to the folder where you have installed your Scala. Okay, which means our installation are perfect. Now let's move to the next step. Now the next step is to download Windows utils, WinUtils. So what is this WinUtils? WinUtils is a small utility tool that will act as a Hadoop. It does not give you SDFS, it does not give you yarn, but it will fulfill all the minimum requirement that Spark otherwise would look into for Hadoop. Okay, because when you start Spark, somewhere internally it looks for Hadoop home, it looks for those configurations. So that would be fulfilled by your WinUtils. Okay, now you need to download a WinUtils from internet. Again, just search it in the Google. Okay, go to your browser and say WinUtils. See here, it gives us precise result. Click on it. Okay, now which one would we prefer? We will go to Hadoop 3. We will go to Hadoop 3. Click on this and just scroll a little down. You will see a winutils.exe here. Okay, winutils.exe is here. So just download this winutils.exe, right? Click on it and that would be downloaded. So it takes you to the next page, and from here you can click on this download raw file. Done. Okay, so let me open this file. Like, it's a exe file, so like does not make sense to open. Okay, we have downloaded this WinUtil successfully, and check it out. It is of 110 KB. Size is 110 KB. Okay, so you need to copy this file. Let's see where to paste. Okay, follow the document. So download WinUtils. Make sure the size is 110 KB, and this is the location. But as I said, Google it out. It will take you to that place. Now, though we are not using Hadoop with Spark, but somewhere your Spark checks for Hadoop_home variable in configuration. So we'll configure that. Okay. Now configure your WinUtil. So what you do? Create a folder D Hadoop bin. So just go back to your D drive. Go back to your D drive. Okay. This folder would not be available by default. Okay. So you create a folder. Let's call it Hadoop. Inside that, you create a folder. Let's call it bin. Inside that, you paste your WinUtils. So paste your WinUtils.exe. Done. Now once this is done, let's move to the next step. Place the above WinUtils in the above location. We have done this. Now again, set this as your Hadoop home in your environment variable. Okay. So again, we will go to environment variable and we will set this as Hadoop home. So let's go back. So see here, bin is present here. So what you do? Go one step down. D Hadoop, wherever your bin folder is present, and we will call it a Hadoop home, right? So now again go to your environment variable and just say environment variable and create a new variable again here, Hadoop_home, and give your path. Say okay. Now let's go back. This is done. Now the same thing you'll also do on your path variable. You will set Hadoop home/bin. Okay. So again go back here and go to your path and say edit. Here you add one more path here. You'll say percentage Hadoop. Make sure that your spellings are very perfect. Hadoop home %/bin and say okay and say okay and say okay. Now confirm your Hadoop home. So open a new terminal always. Don't try to do that in the old terminal because that would not be recognized. Your new changes would not be picked up. Okay. So always go to command prompt, open a new prompt and try to execute that. So let's say echo Hadoop home. Now it is giving me D drive Hadoop, which means our Hadoop home is also configured successfully. So once this is done, we should verify if our WinUtils is configured successfully or not. There is one more check that we need to do. Okay. Now what you do is run your command prompt as administrator. Let me show you that. Now I'll close this. Let me open my terminal again. See, I'll say CMD. Okay. Let me run my command prompt as it is. First, I'll try to run as it is. And let me say winutils.exe -help. Okay, so I saw this is coming up perfectly, but it would not come up if there is any issue while your configuration is done. So I would say don't follow this process. Let's do this. We'll go to CMD and here if you see run as administrator is there. Click on run as administrator. If it asks for permission, say yes. Now this has started as an administrator and it by default points to system32. Okay, here you can say winutils.exe -. help. And if it gives you this kind of information, that means your installation is successful. Okay. Now if it does not give you this information, that means the installation is not successful. I encountered a problem and I'll tell you what problem I faced. Okay. Now it has given me a problem like this particular DLL file is missing. So which means while my Windows was installed, okay, Windows works with a lot of DLL files. All these DLL files are present in system32 folder. And while I was installing my Windows somehow did not give me this DLL file, and this DLL file was important. And this would be highlighted only when you run your WinUtils in a administrator mode. Can you guys run it in your administrator mode and see if you are also getting some sort of problem like something is missing? Okay, I'll tell you what you need to do if you see this is missing. If you see this is missing, I will say go back to your Google again and here say paste download. If at all you get anything like this is missing, so it will take you to this dllfiles.com wherein you can get the DLL files. See here, you get the DLL files here. So just go a little down and if you see, you get the DLL file for 32-bit, you get the DLL file for 64-bit, just download this. Once you download this, extract that folder, it will give you it as a folder. Just extract that folder. See here, it gives you a zip file. Okay, extract that zip, it contains the DLL file. Now just say extract all, say extract. Now that would give you a DLL file. Okay, this DLL file you should copy and paste it to your system32 folder. Where you will find that? You will find it here. Go to PC, C drive, Windows, and here you will get system32 folder. Okay, paste your DLL file here. This is the place to paste it. If at all you get this kind of problem, okay, you might not get. If you did not get any problem as such, you are happily installed that successfully. Now let us start with the important part for the day, that is installing our Spark. Okay, so how to install Spark? Let us see. Again, go to your browser and say download Spark, and whatever comes in the first page, download Apache Spark. So if you see download Apache Spark, so choose what version you wish to download. Okay, so we have right now the latest version is 3.5.3. So we'll choose this, and you can choose you want to install this for which particular version, 3.3 and later, 3.3 and later for Scala 2.13 or some other Hadoop configuration. So we'll stick to this. We want to install the latest version of Spark, and here is the download file. You will click on this. Okay, click on this, it takes you to the next page. Now you will download from the very first link. Okay, so the download is started and in some time the download would be successful. So let's move to the next. So download the Spark pre-built package from the below link. Click the link at step 3. That means this step 3, click on this link, it takes you to the next page from where the download can happen. Okay, now save this file to drive, say D drive. Whatever you have downloaded, copy that file to D drive. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so we have our Spark here. Now copy this to your D drive. Don't copy to your C drive. Copy to D drive because C drive might have some permission issues. You can still do that, but my suggestion is stick to your D drive if you have D drive. Okay, so I'll just say paste. Now before I do a paste, I should be deleting this, or let's say we have pasted it and this is the file that we have. Okay, so we have pasted that and this is the file we have. I'll just delete all other files. So whatever you have downloaded, just keep it here in your D drive. You can also keep it on your C drive, but I would recommend you to stick to D drive. Okay, now once this is done, the next thing that we would do is extract this. Okay, so right click and say extract all and just say extract. Now we have Spark 3.5 bin Hadoop 3, right? So what you do is rename this and let us keep it like this. Let us keep the folder name like this, 3.5.3. That's it. Okay, inside that you have all the software of your Spark, all the tools and libraries and all. So what I'll do is I'll cut this folder, Control X, okay, and I'll paste it here in my D directly, so that I don't have to navigate folder inside folder. Now this folder is empty. I can happily remove this folder. Done, right? Now once this is done, this is your Spark, right? So if you go to this Spark, if you see there is a bin folder, which means this location is called as your Spark home, right? Now what you're supposed to do, again go back to your environment variable and configure your Spark home as well. So let's go back to environment variable again. Okay, so we'll say env, we'll go back here. Now let's see our documentation again. So extract the zip file 2 times because they are present inside and inside, and if it is coming in a single go, it's okay. So copy the very internal folder where all the extraction happened into D drive directly and rename it to Spark 3.5.3. We have already done that. Now the next thing that you would do is set your Spark, right? Go to your environment variable, user variable, set your Spark home to this particular location, right? So we'll go back again here. Again, go to your environment variable and now say new and say Spark home and paste that folder which contains your bin folder. Say okay. Let's go back. This is done. Now as usual, add your Spark home binary to the path variable under user variable. So you'll go to this path here. Path is present here. Say edit and here say percentage Spark home percentage slash bin and say okay and say okay and say okay. Done. These are the two things that you are supposed to do. Now confirm your Spark installation now. How? Open your new terminal and type Spark cell. So we'll go back here. Open a new terminal. Okay, don't work on the old terminal. Open a new terminal and here you just write Spark cell. Now it will start giving you some messages like this. Okay, let's go back here. So it will start giving you messages like this, and after some time you will see a diagram like this. Spark is written with a version 3.5.3. This confirms that your Spark 3.5.3 is successfully installed. Okay, and it is very clear that this Spark 3.5.3 is actually using Scala 2.12.18 and using Java 17.0.12, which means if you want a very perfect match, okay, if you don't want to take the headache of understanding whether the compatibility would work or not, I would say if you're downloading Spark 3.5, you should install Scala 2.12.18 and Java 17.0.12. Okay, so let's see what happened in our side. Yes, our Spark is up and running, which means we have successfully installed Spark 3.5.3 version, and here you can start writing your code. We talked about creating the RDD yesterday, right? So we will create all our RDD, we'll write some transformations, we'll fire some actions, and we'll get all those things done in the coming days. So let's see what else we have. Error in this step, we don't have any error, so we will ignore this. Now once it is up and running, go to your local host 4040. Okay, let's go back here. We'll go to our browser and we'll say localhost 4040, hit enter, and you should see the list of all your Spark job up and running here. Okay, we will revisit this page so many times when we start doing a lot of experiment on Spark. Every time we'll come here and we'll see what happened, how the DAG was created, and that's how you will learn the DAG. Okay, how the DAG was created, shuffles and sorting happened or not, how many stages are created for a particular job. All those things you can learn by looking into this particular UI. Okay, so let me go back again here. So congratulations, your local Spark is up and running. If you quit your Scala cell that you have started, and again if you come here, it will not work. Okay, for example, if I open my terminal where my Spark is running, these are all old terminals. Here is my Spark running. Okay, remember when you install Spark, it takes you to the Scala prompt. Okay, so if I say quit, you have exited your Spark cell. Okay, and now when you again say localhost 4040, it will not work. It says cannot connect because we are right now running our Spark in a very local mode. That's the reason. Okay, so let's go back. Tomorrow we'll see how do we configure it with yarn and all. We'll see that in great details. Okay, now if you face any error while installing your Spark, let us know and we will put that in the documentation. And if you want to install some older version of Spark, then there is something called archive. So I'll also show you that place. Just go here and say apache dist. Just write this apache distribution. Okay, now it will take you to this folder. It will take you to this folder, apache distribution directory. Let's go here. Now this location contains all the software given by your Apache Software Foundation. Apache Software Foundation is an organization which maintains a lot of open source framework. Like you might have heard about Java framework like Struts, Scoop, Spark, Solar. You will see Pig. Okay, HBase also you will see Uzi, Mahout, NiFi. So Mesos, all these projects were built by people, and then later they have given this to Apache Software Foundation so that the maintenance can be done here itself. Okay, so you can actually go and install any older version also. So let's see that for Spark. So if I go back to Spark, just go a little down and you should see Spark here. Here, see this? Now we have got 3.4, we have got 3.5, and we also have got a preview version here. They have kept only these two versions, looks like, and Spark 4.0 is coming up soon. Okay, so even if Spark 4 comes soon, the process would remain same. Download, configure. Instead of 3.5.2, you'll say 4.0.0.